Hello everyone, it's Cynthia with your Daily Tarot card of the day. This week we're using the Medicine Woman Tarot. I have information about this deck in the description box below. I'm going to take a moment to tune into today's general collective energies. These messages are timeless, so whenever you happen to find this video and you're inspired to watch, there's likely a message here for you. But above all else, tune into your own intuition, your own inner guidance, higher self, spirit guides, infinite wisdom, as you were, so that whatever card comes up, you might receive your own personal messages and insights. Cut. Okay. The Hanged Man with vision. Today seems like a day of taking pause for a moment. If something comes up and makes you feel like, okay, this is on hold, or I've hit a brick wall, or I don't understand why I can't get this going or why that's stopped. So if there's an energy around today where something seems to be blocked or delayed, try not to worry about it too much, because it's there for a reason, and that's to get you to take a step back, regroup, I heard, return to the big picture instead of just focusing on detail. Take a pause. So no matter what's on your plate today, the energy seems to be one of go with the flow, but if you find yourself getting hung up, then take a pause. Meditate, go for a walk, journal, put on some music. It doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or you're like, okay, I'm not going to get a response from them for at least 24 hours, so I may as well set this aside and move on with my life. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes there are those moments where you know it's going to take some time. It could end up only taking an hour, but you have to be prepared to wait out a 24 or 48 hour response time, etc., etc. So in this instance, if you run into some kind of a roadblock or some kind of a pause, or where you have to wait, right? The guidance here is to take a step back, take pause, move on to something else. Like, it'll come around. Don't get emotionally hung up on or attached to, because when we do, we hold that energy in that waiting space. If we detach our energy from the situation and recognize, okay, ball's in their court, or this isn't moving in the direction like that I wanted it to go. It's been blocked or delayed or something like that. You have to pull your energy back from it, and kind of set it aside. And then you will get the solution to an obstacle or a problem, or you'll get the communication that you're waiting for, or you'll get an inspiration, a new idea or something like that. But we do have to pull back not just our physical energy, but our mental and emotional energy around that situation. We have to pull that back into center. And redirect our attention, like pull the energy back, settle it, and then redirect our attention to something else. And that's what this going with the flow. If something seems stuck in all areas and we're having like a between a rock and a hard place kind of energy. We feel we have to make a decision, but we don't know what decision to make. Maybe we're ruminating over something, or we're worried about something, and yet there's nothing to physically do that we're aware of. In order to gain the clarity, in order to move through that or process it or get past it, again, we have to recollect our energy into ourselves. And that's where taking a pause, taking some meditation, journaling, going for a walk, use one or all of them, depending upon, the amount of time that you have to devote to that. But it's really about recentering yourself, because the vision that comes will be an inspiration to flip your perspective. If you'd imagine sitting next to some kind of pool of water, or even if you were standing in front of a mirror, can you imagine yourself as yourself looking back at you? I'm not exactly sure why that came through, except for this whole idea of reflection, but it's that shift perspective idea. So you don't necessarily have to engage that exercise unless you feel drawn to for some reason, but there's this idea of shifting perspective and, okay, what would I do if I received that email? What would I do if ... And we can't always know, right? That's why you send an email to customer service, because you don't know how the company operates. You don't know what the next best thing to do is, right? But the shifting perspective, somehow, in order to regain a sense of detachment, of not taking something personally, or of having compassion in some sense for the other end of the situation. And it's not so much to try and figure out like the what or the how or the why of what that other end of the situation is, but it's to recognize that there is another end of the situation. Sometimes we get so hung up in the waiting or the impatience or the blockage that we forget that there's another end to this situation. There's another side of this, right? So again, the reflection, there's another side. It's not just you standing in front of a reflective surface looking at a reflection of you. There's a flip side to that. There's another perspective within that. And so the ability to just sort of gain yourself some peace and relax into the pause or the delay or the blockage. On the other side of a question is an answer. So you have to be able to flip your perspective from the question to the answer, even if you think that you don't know what it is, right? But you have to recognize that it is there in order to find it. So you don't have to know what it is. You don't have to know the details. Again, this is also talking about taking a step back in a more big picture attitude and pulling your energy back towards yourself so that you can see the big picture more clearly without emotionally attaching to certain aspects or details that you might be taking personally. It's not to diminish whatever feelings you might be feeling or whatever situation you might be dealing with. But again, we have to, when we're in the thick of it, we have to zoom out so that when we pinpoint what needs to happen or where we need to be, then we can go into that with a reinvigorated sense of clarity. So if things have slowed down, or if you're feeling blocked or overwhelmed, they're calling for a perspective shift in order to receive some kind of clarity, vision, insight, inspiration, wisdom, or response. And not just a response from the universe. It could be like an actual response from another party involved or something like that. But to cultivate that patience, again, we have to zoom out, big picture, and we have to at least entertain imaginatively the idea that the other side of this brick wall, there's a solution. The other side of this question, there is an answer. The other side of what I've put out there is someone or something, someone representing an entity or an individual person, or the other side of the situation, receiving what I have sent out. And therefore, there's another side to this, not just what I'm looking at. So something about, with that hanged man energy, with that pause energy, with that take it easy energy, it's pulling yourself back, cultivating some of that patience and some of that detachment from the situation, and just kind of easing yourself into, sort of imagining that there's another side to this. And you might not know exactly what that is, but at least as long as you recognize that space exists, there's a space where there's a solution. There's a space where there's a response. There's a space where there is an answer. That's when the clarity starts to come for you, in terms of what you need to do, or how you need to spend your wait time, or, what action you might need to take, or what you might need to look for the next step, etc., etc. So thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. And as always, I'm wishing you so much peace and blessings in your lives today and every day.